Food for Thought with Professor David Ndete.
Welcome to another episode of Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. Last week we kicked off a very interesting conversation on obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. We didn't quite finish, we just introduced the subject, so let's pick up from where we left off last week as we gain more information about this condition. What's the connection between OCD and anxiety?
Until recently, and when I'm talking about recently, I'm talking about 2013. It's not a long time ago.
Yeah.
We have books that classify psychiatric diagnosis. That is, they say if you have this type of symptoms, then you have this condition. They try to standardize those diagnoses so that psychiatrists and mental health workers and psychologists and everybody, including pastors, like you, and speak in a very simple language, so that we can be talking about the same language. They started classifying a long time ago, and now 2013 they introduced a new, what we call DSM-5, a DSM-5. Before it used to be DSM-4. In DSM-4, OCD was classified under anxiety disorders.
Oh.
But now it has been removed from anxiety disorders and put in a different category, which is not anxiety disorder. And we think that it is possible that OCD in itself has a different mechanism of causation in the brain. Maybe some very mild cognitive behavioral, cognitive damage. I want to be simple. Maybe very mild damage in the brain, in the brain cells, which you cannot pick using even the most sophisticated MRIs or the most sophisticated EEGs. There are those subtle things that happen, and we now think, and when I say we now think, is the research that is telling us that this may be a different condition. Is it a form of anxiety, depression? Is it a form of what we call organic brain disorder? We think it may be going that direction. So to answer the question is, obsessive compulsive disorder, as of today, we don't classify it under anxiety. But then listen to this. What is going on in their brains, they know that it is abnormal. They know that it is in themselves. It's got nothing to do with other people. They know that it is causing problems to them. It's causing problems to other people. It is then only natural for them to say, to have some kind of anxiety. So it's like the anxiety is as a consequence of what they are going through. It's like somebody who is having, say, diabetes. It is something to do with insulin and the way the sugar is metabolized, is used in the body. But they also suffer from anxiety. They get a lot of distress, and the distress is, I have this condition, I have to inject myself with this, it's costly, sometimes I forget to inject myself, I know the consequences. So it's natural for them to have anxiety or to have distress of some kind. It's also natural for them to get depressed.
True.
Yes, I mean, you'll be abnormal. You'll be abnormal not to think about what is happening to you, and that there is a need for you to do something, and then you feel very helpless, and you don't want to share it with people, because they just tell you, come on, you are weak. I mean, why don't you just control yourself? And by the way, if you take it on to them negatively, you are in for a fight. So just be very gentle. This is, you don't think this is happening, it's not quite normal, and But if you tell them this is abnormal and you are not being responsible, then you are just asking for a fight. Because inside they know it's abnormal. They are struggling to get rid of it. I'm talking about when the symptoms have reached a certain peak. So it all depends on how you communicate this information.
Okay.
And the most effective way is what we are doing. Let people listen to this. They say, is it possible, then in the house, they ask their children, have you know, what do you think? You initiate some kind of conversation, dialogue, which is constructive, which is non-judgmental. Yeah.
Does this only present in adults, or does it present in children as well?
We see it in mainly in adolescents and adults going on in that direction. So that's when it becomes more obvious. But then, having said that, mental disorders in children, and we are not going to that area. I'm just giving you this as an example.
Yeah.
We know, and this is scientifically proven, that most mental disorders start very early in life. They start in adolescence. That's when they begin to show up things, but they are not picked at that particular time.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is, most likely they start very early, in a very subtle manner, and they begin to develop, and until early adulthood or even mid adulthood, that's when they reach a peak where we can now
pick them.
We can now pick them. It does not mean that they started in adulthood. They would have started very long time. Many conditions start at 13, 14, 15. That's when they begin.
Okay.
This is why today, really, the people are not so much concerned about you and I. They are concerned about the effort is going into children to recognize these problems as early as possible.
Do we know the causes?
We don't know the causes for sure, and we think that it may have something to do with neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that convey messages from one part, or say one brain, one nerve, and you know they are in a line. So it travels an impulse as if it's a live wire, as it were.
Yes.
Then it reaches a place, and then you have to connect it to another nerve to continue. But in between, they don't connect like this. There's some space. And then chemicals from here travel this through this, of course you can see very small spaces where there is fluid to impact on the next nerve, and they continue the process.
Okay.
So that's what we call neurotransmitters. Now, we know that neurotransmitters, biochemistry of the brain, is controlled by the genetic makeup of that person. So is it possible that there is a genetic marker which we do not know, and for which we don't yet have the technology to identify it?
Okay.
And is it also possible that as these new nerves and these neurotransmitters, this problem of connecting the brain goes on for a long time, then it may cause other problems. Like, for example, what happens in, say we talk about Alzheimer's disease, just to illustrate that point. Alzheimer's disease, which we are trying to see how we can pick it very early. If we pick Alzheimer's disease very early in time, it is during that time when there is an abnormality in the transmission of certain chemicals between nerves in particular parts of the brain. And you, at that point, you can actually reverse it. But if it continues for a long time, then that abnormality starts damaging, now physically damaging the nerves, the nerves to do with memory, and then we have Alzheimer's disease. That's when you see it for the first time.
Okay.
So this is why when you see Alzheimer's disease for the first time, a little bit too late.
Yeah.
Because the damage has been
The damage has been
But we
done.
don't know when it started. Maybe many people with Alzheimer's disease, the process started very many years, maybe 5, 10, or even 10 years.
Okay.
It's been going on for long. It's the same analogy. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if a traumatic experience can spark this off. And I'm thinking like that because just thinking about COVID-19 and how it affected us. And you have people who lost loved ones, and there's the messages we were being given every day. Wash your hands, sanitize your hands, put on your mask. So I'm just curious, if somebody had a loved one who died because of COVID-19, you know, and they believe maybe they contracted it because they were not following these protocols, can that be a trigger that can get them to a place now because of the trauma they've undergone because of loss? Now they take this thing a bit to the extreme.
Many people will live with the impact of COVID-19 for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe even be a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
And because the virus, we don't know what damage it has done to the brain, but the research coming from, I think mainly from California, University of Los Angeles, and San Francisco, those two places, they are beginning to say that it is true, and that COVID-19 is not just the immunity. It has also long-term effects.
Yeah.
Just like HIV/AIDS. I mean, you get it.
Yes.
There are very many people with the cognitive loss of brain function because of the long-term effects of COVID. So we don't know. And I don't think anybody, not me, will say no. There is no assertion. We can say at the moment we don't have that evidence, but it's also possible that as we follow these patients, we will get to know. You see, in medicine, discoveries in medicine, yes, they are made in laboratory, but what makes you to do that to undertake that kind of test in a laboratory is based on observations.
Yeah.
You observe things and you see the consistency, and then you say there must be
something.
So we would have to wait and see. But Pastor, we have not talked about compulsive disorder. Compulsive disorder. We have not talked about obsessions, things that stay in the mind.
Oh, okay. Talk to us about that.
We talked about obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yes.
There are many people have thoughts, and actually now we are talking about thoughts.
Thoughts, yes.
Yeah, who have thoughts that are lodged in their minds, and these thoughts are very disturbing. An example would be a mother who has got a small child. And the thought comes to the mother, why did I just take this stick and hit my baby on the head? And it troubles her.
Yeah.
Because she knows that is abnormal, you can't do that. And the more they try to resist it,
The more they think about it.
the more they think about it.
Wow.
So we rather go away from the child than take the risk of hitting a child.
That's all the time we have for Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Once again, remember, you can find all these episodes on our YouTube channel. Look for Family Media on YouTube. Go through them. We've recorded quite a number. I think we started doing Food for Thought with Professor Ndete just when COVID hit. So you can imagine how many episodes we've done. And all of them have got vital information to create awareness about mental health issues. So go on YouTube, share them with friends and family, have them look at some of the conversations we've had. Until next week, when we pick up this conversation again, have a great weekend.
Food for Thought with Professor David Bitte.
Thank you for watching. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get notified whenever we upload new fresh content every day. Stay tuned and enjoy fresh, uplifting content.